welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki, reporting live and direct from the foothills of Mount Zion, which is literally the center of the world. So much is going to be unfolding from here, and us and many other seers and witnesses are actually in, if not even at the foothills of Mount Zion, they're definitely in Kenya waiting to see what will unfold. But those are definitely stories for other days. Thank you so much to everyone that sends us questions. Dr. Mumbi at Dr. Mumbi Show is where you can reach me, and we select the most popular question every couple of weeks. You can also, if you're a Patreon family, you can definitely send me a question and we'll do yours right away. Priority treatment. Special shout out to everyone that supports us on Patreon and everyone that sends us love donations through PayPal. One of the questions I've been getting a lot is people really want to know, how are my thoughts creating my reality? Like, how is that working out? Because it is, the law of mentalism is clear. It's the number one law, which says that, the world is mental and spiritual first. And even the Bible and the scriptures hint at how the seen world comes from the unseen reality, and how the spirit world, many seers, many medicine men and highly spiritual, highly elevated men will tell you, and women, will tell you that the unseen world is so much more real. Like, once you open your first eye, it's wondrous. It's almost like Avatar, like the beauty and the colors and everything about it. So how exactly are our thoughts manifesting our reality? You see, what happens, beloveds, is we think of a thing. And then as we think of that thing, we attach an emotion to it. Whether it's a want, a need, a desire, whatever that emotion may be, happiness, pain, fear, joy. And the more emotion we attach to it, the more that thing gains power. And then that thing now becomes like a light or a magnetic light that attracts like frequencies to it. And that's how experiences are drawn to you. Because the most powerful thing, and I'm sure you've heard this before, the most powerful thing, beloveds, is your emotions. And your emotions are they're the fuel. But everything starts in the mind first. And that's why Babylon has concentrated so much on indoctrinating the mind so that they can rig our emotions and get us to constantly redirect and divert our emotions, which is our power, to magnetically pull the world they want into our collective reality. Because if you have 1 billion people thinking the same thing, watching the same TV shows, watching the same movies, plugged into the system and just emotionally getting attached to those systems. And then those thoughts will go through your mind of what you saw in the movie and what happened. And, and all of that, if you get people involved constantly in that narrative and then get them emotionally attached, they will magnetically pull that reality and that narrative into the collective experience for you. And you see, it's always been about the group consciousness, because there is something called group thought, beloveds. It's funny how the birds come out just when I come here. I love them. It's called group consciousness. And Babylon concentrates on pulling the group consciousness, because you pull. So the thoughts that you give the most emotion to are the thoughts that you will pull into your reality. Now, many of us have, before we came here, we actually asked, some of our spiritual team to be our gatekeepers, to ensure that we didn't attract all those negative things that we were kind of imagining and thinking about and attaching our emotion to, through fear, through pain, etc., etc. Because even when you come into this world, you set up different probabilities for yourself. Because if this happens, you'll go this way. If that happens, you'll turn left. So it's not very clear, but there are some almost absolutes where you've said it, whether you go left, whether you go right, whether you go center, you will awaken, for example. There's some of us who set that up. Like, regardless of how lost I get, regardless of how into the Babylon system I get, when push comes to shove, I will awaken. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Welcome back, beloveds, to Ask Dr. Mumbi. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? One of the most requested topics is, how exactly do my thoughts create my reality? Several people have been asking me, not several, quite a few, have been asking me to go through at least the 7 initial laws of the universe. I highly recommend the book called The Kybalion. If you do join us on Patreon, there is a book I do give you when you join us that will also really broaden your spiritual horizons. So definitely consider joining us for as little as $2 a month. And there are different spiritual books that I share on that platform. But how do your thoughts create your reality? You see, your thoughts is like your strategy point where you think, I want to do this, I want to do that, and you kind of start to create your narrative, your story, and then as you're doing that, you attach emotion to it, emotions of joy, emotions of fear, emotions of pain, emotions of anxiety, emotions of love, whatever that scenario may be. Like if you're like, I need to leave Babylon quick and in a hurry, you may attach anxiety to that, which is a lower vibing emotion. So it won't have as much power to manifest what you want. It will manifest what you want among a lot of obstacles, etc., etc. The higher the vibration, love, joy, purity, gratitude, knowing that thing is going to come to pass, the easier the process is that you walk through. But you see, once you attach your emotions to certain ideas, those emotions magnetize those ideas, magnetize those dreams. And the thing is, what's happening is we're creating wrongly because we're attaching the wrong emotion, too much emotion to the wrong thoughts, and low-based emotions to the wrong thoughts. So that kind of keeps us in this stuck energy, because the lower the vibrating thought, the slower it moves. So if you're in a space of anger, if you're in a space of fear, if you're in a space of pain, if you're in a space of anxiety, your things will manifest slower, and they'll because it's a denser vibe. So even the things it's attracting are much denser. And so even trying to create a wonderful life for yourself from that perspective can see you manifest parts of that life, but with great pain, with great obstacles, etc., etc. That's why it's so important, beloveds. And I always go back to this. Work on yourself. Work on yourself. Elevate yourself. Improve yourself. Uplift yourself, expand your mind, even with just the books and everything, because the spirit wants to expand your mind. Spirit wants to give you information that has not been on this realm for a very, very long time. But if you're still trapped in low vibrational thoughts, and that's what Babylon has done, they've put you on a hamster wheel where your fear and your anxiety and the fact that you don't believe in yourself, etc., etc., kind of keep you in this hamster wheel cycle where you can't create, because they keep you in your lowest vibe, fight or flight. And so you're only envisioning and dreaming and imagining for today. You're not even visioning and imagining what the possibilities of tomorrow. That's why they keep you on your basics of like taking care of this vessel, so that you're so emotionally attached to this vessel. So constantly you're thinking of food, water, shelter. The majority of our people. Poverty is imprisonment, beloveds. It's a form of neocolonialism, because it always reflects a poverty mindset. And that poverty mindset is because our people have not been given the necessary information or tools. It's all been kept away from them. But now we're in the age of information. So you don't need anyone to give you that information. That information can come to you directly. The higher you go, beloveds, nothing will be kept from you. That's the realm we're moving into now. That's the world where, they're trying to create this global computer that they know what's going on with. And everything they do is trying to copycat us. But we're coming online to another level of spiritual experience. And so if you really want to change your life, beloveds, then change what you're attaching emotion to. Change what's happening here. And you see, Babylon gets you here. and then puts the story in such a way that you immediately attach emotion to it. They get you here first because they've spent so much time creating the foundation of here, of hell, of the triggers. And as I said before the break, and then you, as a group consciousness, people are collectively pulling in the Babylon reality into our world continuously for free. They're even paying Babylon to indoctrinate them, literally, because they don't know that's what's happening. But Babylon gets you here by feeding you ideas and then knowing you'll attach emotion to these ideas, and then that alone will fuel the fire. That's the only match they need. They've set you up to overreact to nothing, things that absolutely don't matter. And so to be free of this kind of manipulation, really get out of the triggers that push you into the lower vibes. That's why I say stop watching the news, beloveds. Stop getting into the narratives as much as possible. And it's hard because that's all people do. So I've been requesting people not to email me news, not to WhatsApp me news, even family and friends, beloveds. And it's like they don't respect that because they feel whatever they're sharing is the most important thing ever. But it's like you don't want your emotion to be attached to that. So disconnect, so that your spiritual team now, and through your own meditation, through your own, inner work, because I tell you, the only way out is in. Through your own inner work, beloveds, you will start to create new realities for yourself by having new thoughts that are not poisoned or infested with the Babylon mentality. And with those new thoughts, you can attach emotions of joy, of excitement, of love. And it was a very tricky paradigm. And I'm talking from experience, beloveds. Because before, when I was like against the Babylon system and I was doing all the news, I used to get so emotional about all the stories until, Magufuli's passing. And I allowed myself to get so into that narrative that I fell sick, and I hadn't been sick in years, beloveds. And that was my wake-up call, like, nah, 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 nah. Because my vibe went so long and I'm so low. And I'd been vibing so high. So it was just such a crash down into pain and anger. And I can't believe they did this. Even though I knew the highest perspective of what was happening, I allowed myself to grovel in those feelings for a little while. And it manifested in me now having to, and it wasn't any big whatever. It was more like a little flu. But even when you've been feeling fantastic for a long time, even that little flu will be like, what's happening, But I saw and I could trace back to the fact that I allowed myself to get, and I had invested a lot in, of course, the Magufuli story and many things. So there were a lot of other people who were extreme in a lot of pain, in a lot of emotion, that hooked to me and emailed me and wrote to me, etc., etc. And it's like my energy collapsed. And that's when I realized, like, we can't entertain these narratives anymore. There's so much more to be done. Like, we are at such a delicate and vulnerable stage, all of us, regardless of where you are on your awakening journey, because we're setting the foundation for a new that is already here. It's not even coming, it's here. And Babylon is trying to infect that and interfere with that process. And we have to be extremely selfish and self-vigilant and get out of their stories, because we've already wasted so much emotion, and we have to now pull that emotion back, beloveds. Pull that wasted emotion back to ourselves so that we can now redirect that energy to create the reality that we want for ourselves. Let me know if you want me to go deeper in this or if you get it. I know there's a lot of questions around this, but just remember, your thoughts are like your strategy point. Like maybe you are the vehicle. So your thoughts are like, okay, we're going to go from point A to point B. And then you enter the vehicle. The fuel is the emotion that you have towards that thing. And that's what decides how quickly you go towards that thing, how slowly you go towards that thing, how the kind of, even the quality of your journey and your experience. Protect this, beloveds, with everything you have, especially now. Because many people are falling for the experiment because they're not protecting this. Tuko pamoja.